uh, trying to come up with definitions for the different terminologies I use when it comes to dimensions, timelines, realities. And I was thinking, um, we are all in our own personal dimension. Now, the reason that I can interact with other people's dimensions is because we're on the same timeline, and that creates our reality. And I've been holding on to a thought that I've had for a very long time, quite frankly, because I'm I'm almost attacking myself, um, especially with the basketball players coming out with the flat Earth information and leaking flat Earth and material. Because now other people are going to go investigate it and they're going to come to the conclusion, if they can handle it, that they're not on a spinning ball. Um, I think the bigger the Mandela effect gets, the more they're going to leak flat Earth. I know, it's tough for me to even say that because I think flat Earth is real. I mean, I think the Mandela effect is real, but what I'm saying is I don't think we're on a spinning ball flying through space. I think that part of the deception was, when the Mandela effect, because that's what it's termed, when quantum changes, when the observation of shifting dimensions um, came into effect, or they knew it was going to come into play eventually, and this was one of the ways to keep people in fear so that they may keep the power. This is just a theory, but I think it's a damn good one. So the Mandela effect is showing us that we are multidimensional beings shifting through dimensions based on our focus, intent, and what I like to call something assumed. Just not like forget about it, just assume it and go about your business. With these things, we're creating so we can shift into the timeline, dimension, reality we want. We can shift into the timeline we want. We could take our dimension and shift into that timeline. And if the elite, the powers that shouldn't be, they know about this. They don't want us to know because when we find out, we shift away from their power. We shift away from the negativity. We shift into the reality that pleases us, the one we want. So what would, when something like that comes out, two things are happening. One, the people that are expecting something like this because they studied this stuff their whole life, they're excited, they're ready to go, they're pushing it. And there's the other people that just cannot handle that physical reality is not what they think. So, that's a group of people that the powers that shouldn't be um, that they're going to go after. I mean, as far as keeping them in fear so that they can keep their illusionary physical reality going where they're in power and control. And now, there's things I'm hearing. I'm like, oh, but they have the military and they have, well, okay, I just explained that you can change your perception and shift into another reality. Assume it, believe it, know it, assume it, and let it go. And I don't mean let it go. Um, just assume it already is and move on. Stop watching TV. If you watch TV, that's what you're going to get. I don't know how many times I've said that. And I'm guilty of some things too. I'm far from perfect, and a lot of these are just theories. But I really like this. This really seems it resonates with me really well. I am not dissing any flat Earth believers. I believe we are not on a spinning ball flying through space. I believe the Earth is malleable. It shifts. It changes. This explains the continents changing and the distance between California and New York being shorter now, and shrinking continents, rising continents. I mean, it shifts, it changes. And, we're aware of it now because of technology. This stuff's been going on throughout our entire reality. I really feel that that's true. And You know, we can have what we want, and we can shift where we want and do what we want. And let's, you know, but I just think, you know, that I think I think there's going to be really big Mandela effect very shortly. March and September were always like trigger dates. Seemed like they were. Um, we're ending. This is what we got. What's today's date? The 27th of March. So my point is, flat Earth came out about the same time people started noticing Mandela effects. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know. They, it's very possible. I mean, flat Earth is physical. They lied. Let's get over it. The Mandela effect is supernatural. People aren't going to be able to handle it, wrap their brain around it. And look, if you're not affected, we can't prove it to you. We could show you residual, which would just probably debunk it by saying, hey, that's what you saw. That's why you remember it. I mean, but if you're not affected by the Mandela effect, there's no way to prove it. You know, and I do believe there are some people who have seen it and blew it off because their mind cannot handle it. It's going to get harder for them. It's a shame that there's some people that have totally blown this off without even looking into it because they just don't understand it. They need to look into it because it's going to get harder for them. And with a big shift coming up, or would I say a big Mandela effect, probably to wake up more people, to open up more eyes. Um, you know, I think flat Earth will blow up after if it's a really big Mandela effect. I really think flat Earth will blow up. Watching the Dr. Lupin episode right now, and he just said, why would the elite allow the internet? And that's something I've questioned all the time because, and I just said in a recent video, you know, without, in 77, you come across this information, you got nowhere to go. Now with the internet, we got everywhere to go. I mean, we have the world at our fingertips. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that they allow that information to come out because they have 50 years beyond us information before that. I mean, whatever they're giving us, they have to be at least 50 years beyond us. The U and the N on bounce were not like that in another reality I recall. They were separate. I've had two people tonight tell me that Lids, the hat company, is spelled Lidz. I'm never sure of it. I remember it as Lidds, and it is just Lids. Everything seems to be a distraction to me. Everything. Everything's a lie. Everything's a distraction. So where do we go from there? I mean, how do we break out of this computer program, break out of this physical matrix? Do we want to break out? I mean, this is something we obviously wanted to experience. So we're experiencing it now, and now we're experiencing the most exciting part of physical reality. I mean, this is it. You know, these changes, these shifts. Like I've said before, this is telling us we are multidimensional beings shifting throughout time with our own dimensions, what we believe, what we've been programmed to believe, and we can change that. We can manipulate it to whatever we want. And even when we get to that point where we can, you know, is it a trap? Is this something we want to stay with? Is this something we want? You know, I feel like, wow, I really need to get out of this just to see what's going on so I can jump back in and take care of business. I don't know if it works that way. We were supposed to get snow, but it. And that's this snowstorm. This is it. That's I don't even think that's an inch. Since what is it? Since the 25th March. They were calling for this big 4 inches of snow, then a foot and a half of snow, and tonight we're supposed to get 5 inches. And I just keep saying, hey, I'm ready for spring. And I keep feeling that way, and this is what I get. I get snow coming down, melting in the streets at 31 degrees. And I was just talking to one of the police officers, and he's like, yeah, I don't get it. You did tell me you were going to do that. I actually told him I was going to shift into another timeline and skip all the snow. And he's looking at me like, wow, could you do it Sunday? I don't want any snow on Sunday. I'm like, you got to pay me. This is a talent. So that was pretty funny, but ex-heliocentric, did you get what I sent you? You should have got rain and snow and all kinds of stuff. Look, I just feel it. I don't know, whatever. So I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I don't know. So this is the piece of quartz that I had out in the yard that the orbs were over back in, what is it, June? June, July? June, July. I think it was July 2015. This nice piece was sitting right out in the yard. That's kind of right what they were over. So now I carry this with me everywhere. The movie's called Escape Plan, and Stallone just asked Schwarzenegger for a piece of metal, and he said, okay, I'll just go to Home Depot and pick it up. Maybe just skip the word the. Just said the Our Father the way we all remember it. How do I explain this? Physical reality has not seemed the same to me for a long time. I'd say since 2012 to 2014, everything tasted like peanut butter or cardboard. I don't even know where to go with that. Things were definitely different. Things definitely changed. But even now, everything is surreal. Everything is surreal. I don't even know how else to put it. It just doesn't seem, it's not even tangible to me anymore. I mean, I'm trying. I'm just, I worked in the big business for 33 years. I got out. And now I just feel like I'm on vacation. It's been a year. Coming up like April, the end of April, it'll be a year. Middle of April, it'll be a year. And that'll be a year for my site as well. It's just strange. I feel like I can do whatever I want. And now I'm in this, what do you want to call it? Purgatory. I'm in this zone where, I'm just chilling, taking it easy, not worrying about anything. And just doing what I got to do to get through. And, I have plans. I was planning on leaving this place. I live upstairs, work downstairs. I got it made as far as a lot of things go. And I just keep trying to get out. Why? There's things I desire that I know I could make happen right now, and I don't because I'm just too particular. I'm too, I don't know. But anyway, thanks for listening. And I'd like to take this moment to thank all of my subscribers and thank you everyone for liking any of my videos. I really appreciate that. I know I should probably come out and say that often. I don't. I don't say it often enough. I have said it before, but I don't say it often enough. I have had a personal Mandela effect that I mentioned maybe 6 months ago and didn't get many replies on it. Some people remember this the way I do. Everybody I talk to off of YouTube, it's a 50-50 split. Some people remember it. Some people say no. Some people say yeah, and they're sure both ways. Anybody that's not sure tells me they're not sure. The Big Dipper and Little Dipper were connected by one star. And now it's not like that. They are separate. I'm curious how many people comment for me. I'm just curious because it's usually a 50-50 split.
So maybe everything happens. So when you leave, say so there's 60% chance of this happening. There has to be another realm where in that moment we split, and then that 40% chance occurs, and every other possibility.
It's going to be infinite.
Yeah, infinite possibilities of different decisions, continuously creating infinite possibilities off of each other.
Freaking wet, sticky snow. God damn.
And we're getting, what did they say?
1 to 3 tomorrow afternoon, 3 to 5 tomorrow night, and 1 to 3 the next day.
So we're talking
We can get 8 inches.
the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd? No, we're
No.
talking the 31st,
Yeah,
1st, and 2nd.
Actually, it showed snow all the way into Wednesday, but less chance. Or through Tuesday.
I wanted to mention that anytime I mention orbs, they're not the orbs that I saw in the one video. I'm going to have to find them and link them. Where I was sitting there reading off a pad and they were flying across the screen in front of the camera. When I say I saw orbs over that crystal was in my backyard, and you know, where I came out and I saw the orbs over my head. Now, I know I blurted that story out somewhere, but I came outside at 4:44 in the morning and there were 2 orbs. Now, these things were amoeba looking. They were the size of cars, transparent, but you couldn't see through them, and they were gold in color. And they were about 15, 20 yards over my head. They weren't the things going like in front of the screens, because I know a lot of people on YouTube are talking about orbs, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, those are I would call those orbs as well, I suppose. These things, actually, I should be calling them UFOs, but they're to me, they're orbs. That's what came to mind. Just point that out. And as far as all of this snow talk, right now it is snowing outside. Today's date is the 31st. They are calling for a lot of snow now. I'm off for a few days, so I plan on leaving town. I don't even know where I'm going yet. Kind of exciting. But I'll be leaving sometime Saturday, and you know, I'm just sure I'll be able to make it out of town without a problem. Go south, go somewhere where the snow isn't bothering me. But you know, like I said, I'm just pushing it away. And right now, I mean, the sky, like since they said all this snow, was it back on the 23rd or whatever, and it just hasn't shown up. It just keeps going around us or passing over us. Nothing's really shown up. Today's the 31st. You know, looks like it's coming down now. It's been raining all morning, all afternoon. Anyway, as far as, you know, shifting, I'm not going to say control or manipulating the weather. I'm not. I'm just shifting into a timeline, dimension, vibration, which would probably be a better description, where the snow is not a problem, or you know, it's not. So I don't think there's any repercussions, because I am not changing things, just shifting somewhere else. It's funny, Sean Indigo was just doing a video, I was watching it, on mistakes on the Mandela effects, and he's saying that very well could possibly be mistakes out there. They just could be misremembering. Well, for me, you know, I try not to blurt out too many Mandela effects that I'm not 100% sure of. Just, you know, but it doesn't really matter, because you cannot prove the Mandela effect unless you're affected. And if, say yesterday, this pen was red, it's not it's not going to be a Mandela effect for anybody. It's still a Mandela effect, you know. So is it a mistake? No, it's not a mistake, but it can't be proven. Just like the Mandela effect, it can't be proven to people who were affected, because it can't be proven at all to people who are not affected. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, that reminds me of blah, 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 Jessica. Hey, Jessica, thanks for giving me the plug and all the nice things you said about my channel. I do know I go deep sometimes. It's just what's going on in my head, you know. I tend to really analyze everything to the bone and just go as deep as I can. I know sometimes that helps, sometimes it don't, and sometimes I even confuse myself. The Mandela effect, or quantum shifting, is something I like to call the focused observation of amalgamating quantum dimensional timelines. the subcategories for the supernatural phenomenon as I see them. I don't know who coined this. Manned animals. I love it though. Manned animals, new and extinct animals existing. The Lazarus, people dead then alive. Ghost vision, objects showing up or disappearing, and I include the ghost cars in that. Pop culture modifications, music, book, and movie changes. Flat Earth curves, land masses moving, and spelling bee leaves. Of course, spelling changes. Alright, I've calmed down a little bit, so maybe I'll explain this. So I took off April 1st, Saturday morning. Wasn't sure where I was really going. I had a decent idea I was going south. I made it to Phoenix, Arizona. Drove down kind of on a whim. Had a few spots in mind. Anyway, I drive all the way down there. I'm filming landscape. See some wild horses, filming them eating with deer on the way down. Get to Phoenix, go to the ballpark, watch the game, film the park. My plan was to go to LA or Arlington, see another game, but funds were running low. So I took off, went back home. I had some really neat ideas. I started the video off with explaining the trip, and then announced some YouTubers, blah, blah, blah. Jessica and the Butterfly Effect. Check that one out. I talked about the non-affected, how, why they might not be seeing things. I don't know what I said. It was pretty nice. I remember putting it together going, oh, I like that. I like that. Talked about how wars are going on and things outside physical things, including flat earth information, that it's physical, and people are like, how can you care about that conspiracy stuff, and how Moneybag 73 was mentioning that, and talked about that for a while, and how it's just silly that the Mandela effect is probably the biggest thing that's been going on in human history, or the biggest secret, because I think it's been going on for a long time. I think I mentioned that in some videos. It was really nice. It was a really nice video that I accidentally deleted. So I do have some pictures that I'm still trying to figure out. I just got them off my phone. That's taking forever. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to get them onto this video to show you guys. Because that's all I got now. It's just such a shame. I put together this 10.5-minute video and deleted it because I was putting together another video. I don't know. It's a thing. I'm over it. Kind of, sort of. Here's some pictures for you. I'll give you that, and then I'll have a nice little talk for you afterwards. Did you watch any of that stuff? Did you finish?
Let's check this out. You'll be most interested in the science and nature in the green.
It says, where's the hub of the world, according to the International Flat Earth Society? The hub with the North Pole?
There you go. You got it. Hey.
Yeah.
I was hoping you were going to get it.
I'm like, what the heck?
I saw that, and then honestly, God, Like 2 seconds later, you're walking across the street. I was like, oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, just 2 seconds later, right?
Yep.
The North Pole.
That thing's awesome. I mean, think about that. That game's from like '88. Could
Well,
be.
yeah, I
Could
mean,
be
I know
like
there's
86.
always been a Flat Earth Society
You do
around. I don't think it's the same group that I've been turning you on to. Have you finished those videos?
No, man. I've been too busy.
Yeah,
Hey, this is yours.
life gets in the way.
It's yours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's yours.
It's too funny. What am I gonna do with this?
You're gonna keep it and be like, see?
Put it on one of my videos.
Yeah. The original Genus edition.
Kelly Blue Book. How do you spell Kelly?
You got me.
Come on.
I don't know.
Like one of
EY.
How do you spell Haas?
HAAS. I don't really like this timeline spelling so much.
Yeah, everybody looks at me like,
Bears.
God, you can't even spell right. I missed last night. It was like 11:30 when I thought, oh, I really don't feel like
Open
that.
mic.
And yeah. I had all the questions written down.
Yeah.
I had fill in the blank questions. Another category and like general questions.
Well, there's next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday
Next
for
Wednesday.
open night.
Yeah.
You're gonna film it with this?
Sure, man. Film it for you.
I gotta do it right. I gotta come off. I was thinking, well, this is either a magic trick or I'm gonna change your life. No, if you don't want your life changed, it's just a magic trick.
There you go.
I don't want to scare everybody out of your establishment.
It's all right. It's open mic.
So we got people noticing others are not dead when they thought they were. That could be considered a shift of some sort through realities, timelines, whatever. You got pop culture, books, movies, music, changing, or what would be us shifting into timelines, dimensions, realities, where those things were always like that. These ghost cars, I could consider that something shifting somewhere to have those accidents happen. Things appearing and disappearing. That would also be considered possible shift of some sort. So these are all subcategories of things that are connected with the Mandela effect. And there's no denying it. If you're not affected, I think there may be an agenda behind that, or you're in denial, or you're just not supposed to see it, or you're part of the program, or you're in on it, or maybe you're not supposed to see it yet, because there's this shift going on, and I think it doesn't happen in a second. It doesn't happen when your ears ring. It doesn't happen, one certain day on a certain date. There's a time period for this where we're constantly noticing shifts. I mean, I'm thinking it happens all the time, but we're in this phase where we are constantly noticing the shifts. And we may continue to notice them. I just got done listening to a video from a YouTuber called Chick. And she was talking about how she didn't feel that we, died. People were still talking about how if you experience the Mandela effect, you possibly have died. Well, my take on that is you don't die, you just shift into a timeline where things happen differently. And I have experience with that. But my point was, she mentioned something about the flip-flops and the items switching back and forth. And I realized a couple weeks ago I was listening to something about how objects have consciousness. So if it's our consciousness that's shifting through different timelines, the Berenstein Bear title could have shifted as well. These items may also be shifting if they have consciousness. Everything and everybody could be shifting out and in of infinite multiple timelines, multiple dimensions, creating our reality depending on where our focus is. Wow.
Yeah, once you get to those ice climbing walls, it gets a little harder as you're climbing with all that gear.
So here I am, just sitting here cleaning a fryer. The place is closed and we're scrubbing it down. And I'm coming to realize I really need to do a video on. You see, the thoughts were so much better. I wasn't really paying attention. So, I made the mistake of blurting out what I thought was the Mandela effect because it seemed pretty big, and I looked at it briefly and it looked legit, so I went ahead and talked about it on Dr. Lupin's. I chatted about it. Nobody really replied, either on Dr. Lupin's channel or Moneybag73. Checked out a live thing that night and I put it out there. So, I went ahead and I thought about it for a while, and I went ahead and looked back at that site again. Okay, it looks legit. It's Luke 19:27. So I went over ahead and I read the whole parable, or the whole verse, and it ends up being a parable that Jesus is talking about. I truly don't know what the message was because I didn't look into it any further than that. Now, that was my mistake. I've made that mistake before. I made that mistake on the Mandela effect side. I started talking about the Presleys, and I got Lisa Marie and Priscilla mixed up. Their birth dates and everything. I trashed the whole thing, but I sent out the chat thing, and then Fiona Broom, the creator of that site, came back and said, you know, Anthony, listen, I'd like to put this up. I'd like to keep it up to show people how they make mistakes. I was never so embarrassed in my life because I really felt like I knew better than to sincerely study something and see if there's a change. If it's a personal Mandela effect, then it's a personal Mandela effect. But, you know, I really should have checked that out. So I let her keep it up so people could see how easy it was to make a mistake. And I've done the same thing with this Jesus verse about him supposedly slaughtering people. That's not what it was about at all. He was talking about a king who would slaughter his enemies. But I don't know what the storyline was in between that. You know, I messed that up by blurting it out on a couple of chat things. And it upsets me because the same thing happened while I was listening to a chat. I'm not going to say what. You know, there was a chat going on and somebody that was not in the chat came in a room and started yelling behind the person that something was going on. I realized how much that upset me. And I just was really embarrassed for this other person because they didn't have no idea what's going on. Now this person's blurting out this stuff that really was bringing a downer to everything. I felt bad for that person, and you know, I could see where it was exciting. I felt it, but you know, it broke me down. I was like, whoa, that's not where I want to go. So I stopped. So you know, that I think was teaching me to really investigate and think before I speak, because I put that stuff out, and that's not like me. That's a rookie mistake. It happens. If you're going to find the Mandela effect, you really need to study it and figure it out so you can explain to people what exactly is going on. Don't do like I did. I've done it twice now, and I'm done making that mistake. There is an importance to not blurting out, you know, Mandela effects and not knowing if they actually are Mandela effects. Although, like I said, it could be a personal Mandela effect, and that's fine. You know, I love the subcategories that I did. I don't know if I can remember the Lazarus side effect. You know, what was another one? The glitch in the matrix. I think people kind of coined on Reddit or Reddit or however it's pronounced. And glitch in the matrix would be a personal Mandela effect. That's what they're calling it. I'll go with it. I love the spelling bee leaf for spelling changes. The ghost vision. What else was there? Pop culture modifications. Anyway, the point of this video was, you know, I made a mistake, and it's going to be out there. So you really got to watch and be careful what's out there. And for me, I've basically moved on from looking for Mandela effects, and I'm sure if a big one comes up, I'm sure I'll, investigate it. But I'm trying to move on from that because it's showing me things, and I'll do a video on that. I'm in the back kitchen cleaning, listening to music, and when a plane comes on, starting to get goosebumps, getting into it. And then later on, When September Ends comes on. And it just hit me, in October 2015, I was listening to that song, and it was like at the end of that week where I was going through all the pain and all the changes. That song came on, man, and I just dissected it like crazy. This has been going on for a while, and it is there's something may happen in March, April, as far as patterns, but September, I'm thinking every September, is some kind of major event, major shift. Wake me up when September ends. I mean, and it's just something that really hit me there, and I was getting, this is it. I've been waiting for this my whole life, and we're dimensional beings. I mean, whatever we are, it's in my perception that I'm a dimensional being at this point, and that I can truly create what's happening in my life and what's around me. And I think, oh wow, if I had this information in '85, and you know what, I did have this. A friend of mine named Ron, me and him talked all the time. We studied the JFK assassination. Yes, there was 4 people in the car when we studied it in the '80s. He told me once how I was like, when's this stuff going to happen? Because we would talk about that stuff, and he told me that the moon landings were fake, and I blew him off. I blew them off back in the '80s. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can get my head around that. How could they possibly have faked that? I mean, he told me then, and he told me that your head's really going to spin off when McDonald's arches change to a color that you can't even describe, that you've never seen before, that looks like no other color you've ever seen. And I think I've mentioned some of that stuff briefly in other videos, but that's the stuff that was going on back then. I knew this stuff, and I felt that I could control my reality from my emotions and my feelings and, my focus. Did I do it? In a sense, I'm where I am at now, and this is where my consciousness is. But I was thinking, hey, if I go back, I have it made. Well, no, I haven't even figured it out here now. So why would I want to go back? Although I do think time travel might have something to do with something. I don't know. It could be one of those other things where people are just trying to act like they know what the Mandela effect is. For instance, like for me, it would be CERN. These things have been happening throughout time. They knew about it. They created CERN. They got all this money coming in, and they're making it like that they're the one causing it. I don't think so. I think it's our natural state, and this is how we have always been. The D-Wave computer might be jumping on board, being able to manipulate things and change things. CERN may be doing something, but the main thing is it's our natural state. This is us.